Have you ever felt that inexplicable urge to drop everything and simply get lost somewhere in the world? In those places where time seems to stand still, nature speaks louder and the soul finds peace. Today we're embarking on a special journey. It's not just about beautiful landscapes. It's about sensations, stories, and the deep connection that certain places awaken within us. And the best part, you don't even have to leave your home for it. Angel Falls. In the heart of the Venezuelan jungle, where mist dances over endless treetops and time seems to rest in silence, there exists a liquid colossus that defies the sky and the logic of nature. A veil of water plunges nearly 3,200 feet, with both fury and grace, as if the planet itself were weeping from the clouds. This is Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall in the world. Majestic, inaccessible, mythical. Angel Falls is located in Canaima National Park in the state of Bolívar, southeastern Venezuela, one of the most remote regions in South America. There, among the mysterious tepuis, flat-topped mountains that seem to have been ripped from another planet, rises Awaken Tepui. It is from this colossal mountain that the waters of the Churon River leap into the void, in an uninterrupted fall of 3,211 feet, with a direct free fall of 2,648 feet. No other waterfall on Earth dares to drop from such a height. For millennia, this place remained invisible to the outside world, known only to the indigenous peoples of the region, especially the Pemon, who called the waterfall Kerepakupai Meru, meaning waterfall of the deepest place. To them, Awaken Tepui is sacred. It is the dwelling of ancient spirits and forces beyond our understanding. Seeing Angel Falls was not just a geographical journey, but a spiritual one. It was only in the 20th century that the world officially learned about this wonder. In the year 1933, an American aviator named Jimmy Angel flew over the region in search of gold deposits. His aircraft, a metal monoplane named Flamingo, crossed the misty skies above Awaken Tepui. When the curtain of clouds parted, Angel saw the impossible, a waterfall that seemed to fall from the heavens. Captivated, he tried to land on top of the mountain in 1937, but his plane got stuck in the Tepui swamp. He and his team walked for 11 days before finding help. The feat made headlines, and the waterfall was named Angel Falls, in honor of the aviator who dared to touch the gods with wings of steel. Edinburgh Castle. Situated in the heart of the Scottish capital, the castle dominates the cityscape with its imposing presence. Built atop Castle Rock, an ancient extinct volcanic core from approximately 217 million years ago, it rises more than 425 feet above sea level. From there, it watches over the city like an old guardian with eternal eyes, always alert to those who arrive, those who depart, and those who dare to forget its history. Human occupation of this site dates back to at least 900 before Christ, during the Bronze Age. But it was in the 11th century that the first royal structures began to emerge atop the rock, under the reign of Malcolm III and his wife, Queen Margaret of Scotland. Since then, the castle has never ceased to be a central stage in Scottish history, as a fortress, royal residence, prison, armoury, and symbol. Over the centuries, Edinburgh Castle has been besieged, bombarded, captured, and recaptured more times than any other castle in the United Kingdom. It's estimated to have been attacked at least 26 times. Every stone, every hallway, every tower carries the memory of battles fought, betrayals whispered at midnight, and pacts sealed in blood. It is not merely a monument, it is a survivor. At the heart of the castle rests St. Margaret's Chapel, the oldest building in the city of Edinburgh. Small and almost modest, this Romanesque chapel from the 12th century was built by David the Ferns in honor of his mother, the canonized queen. It survived sieges and destruction, as if protected by forces greater than gunpowder or blade. Even today, its interior breathes a peace that contrasts with the violence of the past surrounding it. But the castle is not limited to religious relics. It is also home to the Scottish crown jewels, the sceptre, the sword, and the crown used in the coronation of Scotland's monarchs. Kept in the crown room, these items were hidden for centuries after the union of the Scottish and English crowns in 1603. Myanmar. Between the Himalayas and the Andaman Sea, between India and Thailand, between past and present, lies a land as ancient as the gods, as complex as the human soul. A land once known as the Golden Kingdom, but also as an invisible prison. Its name is Myanmar, or as many still know it, Burma. Myanmar is a country where opposites coexist in silence. Royal palaces and refugee camps, Buddhist temples and military barracks, folk dances and censorship. All this surrounded by breathtaking geography, mist-covered mountains, tropical forests, rivers that seem to flow through time, and thousands of golden pagodas reflecting the setting sun. Located in Southeast Asia, with more than 53 million inhabitants, Myanmar is a land of diversity, ethnic, cultural, and religious. More than 135 officially recognized ethnic groups make up a human mosaic painted with the brushes of centuries. Burmese, Shan, Karen, Rakhine, Chin, Kachin, each group with its own language, traditions, and way of existing in the world. Myanmar's history is long, rich, and marked by cycles of greatness and suffering. In the 11th century, the pagan kingdom flourished, a civilization that built more than 10,000 temples and stupas along the banks of the Ayeyarwady River. Today, over 2,000 of those structures still stand in Bagan, a magical plain suspended in time where hot air balloons float above the towers at sunrise. But the golden glow of antiquity didn't prevent invasions and struggles. In the 19th century, Myanmar was colonized by the British after 3 Anglo-Burmese wars. Incorporated into British India, the country came under the rule of foreign hands that barely understood its people or its culture. Colonization brought railways, poppy plantations, and British schools, but it also brought the fragmentation of national identity. Antelope Canyon. In the heart of the Arizona desert, sculpted by time, wind, and water, there is a place where the earth seems to dream. A natural temple where light dances between the rocks and silence whispers ancient stories. This is Antelope Canyon, one of the most photogenic and mystical canyons on the planet. A sanctuary carved in sandstone. Located near the city of Page within the Navajo Nation, Antelope Canyon is not just a geological wonder, but also a sacred place for the indigenous peoples who have inhabited these arid and vibrant lands for centuries. To the Navajo, it is known as Tse Biganilini, meaning the place where water runs through rocks. And that is precisely what it is. A labyrinth of wavy walls, colored in shades of orange, red, pink, and gold, shaped over millennia by flash floods, storms, and fleeting rivers. Every curve, every groove in the stone tells the patient story of erosion, of water's persistence in sculpting the impossible. Antelope Canyon is divided into two main sections: the Upper Antelope Canyon, known by the Navajo as the Crack, and the Lower Antelope Canyon, called the Corkscrew. Both offer intense yet distinct visual experiences. The upper, more famous, has wider and more accessible corridors, while the lower requires more agility, with ladders and narrow, almost subterranean passages. The most impressive spectacle occurs when sunlight penetrates vertically through the upper fissures of the canyon, creating beams of light that appear to touch the ground like divine fingers. These rays are most visible between April and October, especially around noon. Photographers from around the world wait for hours to capture this magical moment. But behind its poetic beauty lies the brutality of nature. Antelope Canyon was formed by flash floods, which still to this day continue shaping its walls. The canyon's formation began millions of years ago. The Navajo sandstone that makes up its walls is a sedimentary rock formed by layers of sand deposited in ancient desert dunes. Over time, these deposits were compacted and cemented by minerals. Then came erosion, like a patient sculptor, carving shapes that resemble waves, faces, flames, and animals. Mount K2. Amid the frozen peaks of the Karakoram Range, where the sky seems distant even for eagles, rises a colossus of stone and ice. A mountain that intimidates even the most experienced climbers, that demands absolute respect, where every step is a pact with life, and often with death. This is K2, the second highest mountain on Earth, and perhaps the most feared. Towering at an imposing 28,251 feet, K2 is located on the border between Pakistan and China, in one of the most remote and inhospitable regions of the planet. It is part of the Karakoram Range, an extension of the Himalayas, but with a personality of its own, rougher, wilder, more vertical. Its official name is simply a letter and a number, K2. The K stands for Karakoram, and the 2 indicates it was the second peak of the range to be mapped by the Royal Engineers expedition, led by Thomas Montgomery in the year 1856. Unlike other mountains that bear religious or historical names, K2 retained the coldness of its topographic code, which, in a way, reinforces its aura of mystery and impersonality. To the local peoples, however, the mountain has other names. The Baltis call it Chogori, which means King of the Mountains, a well-deserved title. Its perfect pyramidal profile and sheer faces make K2 a geological masterpiece, a cathedral carved in ice and rock, where the wind blows like a whisper from the gods. Unlike Everest, K2 has no easy ascent routes. There are no gentle slopes or trails that allow for gradual acclimatization. It rises abruptly, almost hostilely, demanding extreme physical, psychological, and technical preparation. Each camp is a trench against the storm. Each night, a duel against temperatures that can plunge below -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Local peoples like the Baltis and Sherpas treat the mountain with reverence. They know its fury and its beauty. Their stories are passed down through generations. Stories of vanished climbers, of improbable miracles, of promises made at the base of the summit. On K2, even the most devout atheist begins to question the absence of something greater. Teotihuacan. Just the mention of its name evokes mystery. Who built it? Why? For what purpose? Thousands of years have passed, and even today these questions still echo between the avenues aligned with the stars and the monumental pyramids. Teotihuacan is a stone enigma, a time capsule, a civilization that reached splendor and vanished. Located about 25 miles northeast of Mexico City, Teotihuacan was, between the 1st and 7th centuries after Christ, one of the largest cities in the world. It once housed over 150,000 inhabitants, an impressive number for the time, comparable to Rome, Constantinople, and Xi'an. With a planned urban grid, hydraulic systems, and ethnic neighborhoods, it was both a cosmopolitan and spiritual center. Its name, Teotihuacan, means the place where the gods were born, a title given by the Aztecs centuries later when they encountered the city already in ruins. They believed that the creation of the world had occurred there, and as you walk among its silent ruins, it's easy to understand why. The backbone of the city is the immense Avenue of the Dead, a ceremonial road stretching over 1¼ miles, flanked by platforms, palaces, and temples. To the north stands the colossal Pyramid of the Moon, and to the south, the Citadel, where the temple of the god Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, is found. In the center, dominating the landscape, is the imposing Pyramid of the Sun, one of the largest structures of its kind in the ancient world. The Pyramid of the Sun is a monumental achievement, standing at 213 feet tall and built upon a base more than 650 feet across. It was constructed in just a single century, without the use of wheels or metal tools. Every stone was carried by human strength. Its alignment is perfectly tuned to the sun's movements. On the equinox, shadows vanish before it steps. And what of the Pyramid of the Moon, with its more compact and angular form, aligned with Cerro Gordo, the mountain behind it, as if part of a celestial stage? It is believed that rituals dedicated to female deities and fertility were held there. Excavations have revealed precious offerings, jaguars, eagles, human bones, and obsidian artifacts. Lumbini. At the foothills of the Himalayan range, where the southern plains of Nepal meet the sky in humility and silence, rests a sacred place. A soil where, according to tradition, the being who would transform human consciousness took his first steps. An ancient garden where not only flowers bloomed, but ideas that would endure for millennia. This place is Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha. Here, among willows and ancestral stones, Siddhartha Gautama was born, the prince who would leave his throne to become the enlightened one, the man who left a palace to understand suffering, who exchanged gold for silence, who taught the middle way between desire and renunciation. In Lumbini, everything begins, or rather, everything awakens. Located in the Rupandehi district, about 175 miles southwest of Kathmandu, the city is considered one of the 4 sacred sites of Buddhism, along with Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, and Kushinagar. But among them all, this is where the journey begins, with the birth of the Buddha, around the 6th century before Christ. According to ancient texts, Queen Maya Devi, wife of King Suddhodana of the Shakya clan, was on her way to her parents' home when she went into labor. She stopped to rest in the garden of Lumbini. There, among blooming trees, she gave birth while holding the branch of a sal tree. The newborn Siddhartha is said to have taken 7 steps and declared it was his final birth. The silence of the world, they say, was broken for an instant. Today, the sacred garden of Lumbini still preserves the symbolic tree, and nearby stands the most important temple in the complex, the Maya Devi Temple. Built atop the foundations of earlier temples, it houses a marked stone, believed to be the exact spot of Buddha's birth, a relic that, even in its simplicity, emanates reverence. Lumbini is also a living experiment in peace. In 1978, the United Nations and the government of Nepal launched an ambitious development plan for the sacred area. The Lumbini Master Plan, designed by Japanese architect Kenzo Tange, envisions a zone of international monasteries, meditative gardens, lakes, and contemplative trails. The idea to transform Lumbini into a global center for spirituality and peaceful coexistence. Budapest. Budapest was not born as a single city. It is the union of 3, Buda, Pest, and a Buddha, each with its own past, its landscape, its soul. Unified in 1873, they formed what is today considered one of the most beautiful capitals in the world, a metropolis where past and present walk side by side, reflected in the calm waters of the river. On one side of the Danube, Buda rests majestically atop green hills. It is the oldest, most noble and contemplative part of the city. On the other side, Pest pulses with the energy of cafes, markets, and wide avenues, flat, dynamic, cosmopolitan. Between them, bridges that connect more than shores. They link times, they tie histories together. The chain bridge, the most famous of all, was the first to permanently unite Buda and Pest. Inaugurated in 1849, with its lion statues carved in stone and its neoclassical elegance, it became a symbol of national unity. At dusk, its lights reflect on the river as if the city were breathing liquid gold. Dominating the Buda Hills stands the imposing Buda Castle, also known as the Royal Palace, a monumental complex that once served as a royal residence, military barracks, museum, and battleground. Its walls carry memories of Ottoman invasions, world wars, and revolutions. Atop the hill, the Fisherman's Bastion looks like something out of a fairy tale. With its white towers and Gothic-style arches, it offers one of the most breathtaking views of all Budapest. In front of it rises Matthias Church, with a roof glazed in vibrant tiles and a history that dates back to the 13th century. There, kings were crowned, and today tourists stand in awe. Down by the banks of the Danube, a silent memorial draws attention. The shoes on the Danube bank, a row of cast-iron shoes commemorating the Jews who were executed there during the Second World War. They are abandoned shoes, as if their owners had vanished into the wind, a monument to memory, to pain, to dignity. Verona Arena. In the heart of the city of Verona, where centuries overlap like layers of golden dust upon ancient stone, stands a monument that is not just a building but a living testimony to the passage of time. the Verona Arena. A silent circular colossus that has stood for nearly 2,000 years, watching the world change around it, without ever losing its essence. It rests naturally in Piazza Bra, as if it had been born there, as if it were not built, but revealed by time. All around it daily life flows, cafes, tourists, bicycles, street performers, but inside time slows, the past whispers from the stones, and something deep begins to resonate. The Verona Arena is more than ruins, more than worn marble or steps eroded by centuries. It is a space of collective memory, a place where different eras meet and coexist, an amphitheater that has been a stage for battles, celebrations, silence, and art, a living organism that breathes history. It has witnessed empires rise and fall, peoples come and go, governments change hands, and still it remained, not intact, but alive. Scarred by time, marked by earthquakes, wars, and restorations, yet still standing, as if to say to the world, I am here, and I still have something to offer. Throughout its existence, the arena has been many things, yes, a place of spectacle, but also of gathering, of worship, of politics, of resistance. For centuries, its purpose has changed, but its presence has remained constant. A space that adapts, but never fades. A symbol of permanence in a world of impermanence. What impresses about the Verona Arena is not only its form, but its timeless function. It was built to bring people together, to connect them through performance, emotion, and collective experience, and that is what it still does today, whether through grand operas or the simple sound of footsteps on ancient stone. Bhutan. In a hidden corner of the Himalayas, where clouds kiss the mountains and winds carry prayers, there lies a place where time moves slowly, where life follows ancient rhythms and progress is measured in happiness. This place has a name, yet feels like a dream. Bhutan, the kingdom of the thunder dragon. Bhutan is not a country like others. It is an idea in the shape of a nation, a geographic space where mountains are more than scenery, they are presence. Where valleys do not divide lands but connect stories, where the modern world is received with caution, almost reverence, like one guarding a sacred secret. Here, nature is not a backdrop. It is a companion. Forests cover most of the territory. Rivers snake through villages like paths of wisdom, and animals, wild or domestic, coexist with humans in a kind of silent pact of mutual respect. The sky, ever present, seems to observe it all with serene eyes. Bhutan is a kingdom where spirituality is woven into daily life. It is not reserved for temples, but breathes in gestures, customs, and gazes. Prayer flags flutter in the wind like invisible voices. Monasteries carved into cliffs stand as beacons of introspection, and compassion is nurtured as if it were the national flower. In the cities, there is no rush. In the villages, no noise. Silence is welcome. Smiles come naturally. The past has not been forgotten, but integrated into the present. Traditional clothing is still worn with pride. The buildings maintain an ancestral aesthetic, as if every house wished to converse with the surrounding mountains. Bhutan has chosen a rare path: preservation. Instead of measuring success by gross domestic product, it adopted gross national happiness as a guiding philosophy, a metric that values balance, harmony, and well-being, not just economic growth. It's a radical choice in a world obsessed with progress. Munnar, Kerala. There is a place where hills are blanketed in green, like quilts woven by the wind, where mornings are born in mist and days dissolve slowly among leaves and silence. A place where time doesn't run, it floats. This place is called Munnar. High in the mountains of the state of Kerala, in southern India, Munnar rests as a natural sanctuary, a refuge among valleys, soft curves and plantations stretching into the horizon. Everything there is green, everything there is peace, everything there invites stillness. It is not a place of monuments, nor of crowds. It is a place of presence, of listening, of contemplation, where each hill seems to tell an ancient story, and each narrow road is a promise of discovery. There, the landscape is not just landscape, it is a state of mind. Munnar is the kind of destination that asks for nothing. No rush, no planning. Just be there. Breathe. Observe. Smell the tea. Feel the freshness in the air. Hear the birds as they pierce the silence like little living poems. The tea plantations shape the land like green waves that rise and fall with grace. There is no exact pattern, only flow. Men and women work among the shrubs with repeated, almost choreographed movements, as if they were part of the earth itself. Between one curve and another, little houses appear, small villages, simple smiles. There is a sense of intimacy in Munnar, as if the visitor were more than a stranger, but a guest of nature itself, a welcome observer. The roads are narrow, winding, but beautiful. They lead not only to tourist spots, but to experiences. Each route is a landscape in motion, each stop a chance to see the world from a new angle. And always there is mist, like delicate veils that make everything more mysterious. Paris. There are cities you visit, others you walk through, and then there are those you live on as a state of being. Paris is not just a place on a map. It is an idea, a gesture, a whisper of beauty in daily life. A place where time moves differently, as if every corner knows something the rest of the world has yet to discover. Situated along the banks of the Seine, Paris pulses between the ancient and the eternal. A city that does not need to show off to be remembered. She simply is. And because she is what she is, she remains within us even when we are far away. Because Paris is not a place you visit. It visits you each time you close your eyes and think of what is beautiful. The charm of Paris cannot be explained, it is felt. It lives in the lights that turn on even before night falls, in the cafes where conversations become part of the decor, in the balconies where flowers resist the passing of time, in the way Parisians walk, not in haste but with intention. Paris is built on gentle contrasts, between the monumental and the intimate, between the cry of revolution and the silence of a book read by the river. It is both city and poem, stage and backstage, and everything in it invites a closer look, attention to detail, to the moment that stretches longer, simply because here, time too values beauty. It is a city where the past still breathes, but not as static memory, as living presence. The past in Paris is not just in the monuments, but in how coffee is served, how a book is opened, in the reverence given to simplicity. Everything has weight. Everything has a story. Paris is also a stage for encounters, of ideas, of worldviews. The city that inspired painters to see differently, writers to feel more deeply, philosophers to question everything. There is no neutral space in Paris. Everything holds an opinion, even if spoken in silence. Even the cobblestones seem to have read poetry. Giza Pyramids. There, at the edge of the Egyptian desert, between silence and wind, the pyramids rise. Not as ruins, not merely as monuments, but as sentinels of eternity. They ask no questions, offer no answers. They simply are firm, silent, immense. The pyramids of Giza are not just structures of stone. They are ideas made solid, dreams in geometric form. They are the testament of a civilization that looked up at the sky and dared to touch the infinite, a human attempt to converse with gods, with death, with destiny itself. The landscape is simple and absolute: sand, sky, rock. And in the middle, these perfect, unshakable forms cutting across the horizon like messages from another age. Being there isn't just about seeing, it's about feeling. It's to understand what it means to be grand without being aggressive, to be eternal without being distant. They do not shout, they do not shine, they do not impose. And yet, everything around them seems to revolve in their presence. As if the modern world still knows deep down that there is something there that remains greater, denser, truer. Time has not defeated them, rain has not erased them, war has not toppled them, ignorance has not buried them. They remain just as they were millennia ago, changing color throughout the day, absorbing sunlight, silence, and desert dust, yet remaining untouched in their essence. Each angle reveals a new sensation. From afar, they appear almost abstract. Up close, they are colossal. Each stone block tells a story that cannot be heard with the ears, but with the skin, with the heart, with the most ancestral part of the mind. Travelers who arrive in Giza do not come just to observe, they come to remember, even if they've never been there before, because in the face of the pyramids, something awakens, an ancient memory, a feeling that we belong to something greater, older, deeper. The largest pyramid, built in honor of a king, has outlasted all kingdoms. The smallest, meant to be discreet, still commands reverence. And between them the gaze of the Sphinx, enigmatic, immobile, eternal, as if it knows everything, yet says nothing. Santorini. Santorini does not offer itself all at once. It reveals itself slowly, first in the contrast between the deep blue sea and the white houses, then in the stairways that rise and fall like inward paths, and finally in the horizon that never grows tired of existing. Nothing seems straight or predictable. Everything is curve, fold, incline. The streets twist as if following the very breath of the island. Time here is not chronological, it is circular. It's as if the day doesn't pass, but spins slowly around the light. Santorini is made of light, but not just any light. It's a light that dances, that slides over white walls, paints the sky golden at dusk, kisses the water tenderly at dawn. It's a light that feels like it was invented here. The wind is also part of the landscape. It flows across the island like a song without lyrics. It enters windows, stirs flowers, whispers through narrow streets. It is the wind that carries away the noise of the world and brings with it a kind of quiet you won't find elsewhere. The white houses are not just architecture, they are solid silence, frames for the sky. Each wall, each curve, each blue dome is a way of saying, here, time rests. There is dignity in these spaces, an aesthetic that isn't shown off, it is lived. The island, shaped by the power of ancient volcanoes, holds the beauty of destruction transformed into harmony. The void of the caldera is not absence, it is presence, a space for contemplation, a reminder that the earth also breathes, also feels, also transforms. And between these cliffs and ridges are the eyes of those who live there, deep gazes, accustomed to vastness, people who don't rush, who don't shout, who understand that some things don't need to be said, that the blue of the sea speaks for them. Norwegian fjords. It's hard to describe what happens when you enter a fjord. Perhaps because you don't just enter a landscape, you enter a state of mind. The cliffs rise endlessly like the walls of a natural temple. The sky, in turn, seems closer, lighter, as if it too reveres what exists there. The light in the fjords has a different texture. It changes constantly, following the rhythm of the wind and clouds. At times, everything is deep blue. At others, soft grey, sometimes golden. And sometimes no word is enough. The light there does not simply illuminate, it reveals. The waters, cold and vast, flow silently between the mountains. There are no waves. There's no rush. The fjord moves with millennia-old elegance, as if it knows there's no destination to reach, only landscapes to pass through. Sailing through a fjord is like floating inside a sigh. The mountains that line the fjords are not just tall. They are vertical, solid, ancient, and yet they feel gentle, as if, despite their strength, they've learned not to crush the gaze, but to guide it. They are giants that do not intimidate, they embrace. There is no noise, only the sound of water touching the shore, the distant rush of a waterfall, the song of a lone bird, the echo of a passing boat, and silence itself. A silence that is not absence, but fullness. A silence that invites us to listen to what lies within. The fjords do not tell stories with words. They speak through forms, textures, atmospheres. Every curve, every cliff, every shadow is a paragraph in a text read by the soul. And there's no hurry to turn the page, because here time also learns to breathe. Walking along the edges of the fjords, you feel your body attuned to the earth. The ground is damp, the wind is cold, the stones are firm, the vegetation is low but resilient. Nothing is excessive. Everything is essential. It's as if excess has been exiled so that essence can bloom. Rio de Janeiro. Rio is shaped by the curve. Nothing here is straight, predictable, restrained. The city winds, folds, and expands. Mountains rise in the middle of the metropolis. Beaches stretch like open halls to the world. And in between, alleys, stairways, slopes, boardwalks. At its heart pulses the historic center, with churches, colonial mansions, and plazas that witnessed the birth of modern Brazil. In its neighborhoods, each with its own identity, coexist stories, languages, aromas, and habits. Rio is Copacabana, with its Art Deco buildings and iconic mosaic sidewalk. It is Ipanema with its golden afternoons and Sunday soccer on the sand. It is Leme, Leblon, and Arpoador. It's the sound of the sea, the noise of the city, laughter rising from a beach kiosk. But Rio is also Santa Teresa with its yellow trams, hills draped in graffiti, homes filled with soul. It's the downtown with century-old theaters, corners where Chorinho can still be heard. It's Lapa with its arches and electric nightlife. It's samba in street circles, funk in the dance halls, maracatu in parades, jazz in the basements, and pagode on the rooftops. Rio is a place where music never dies, where each neighborhood has its rhythm, every voice its melody, every party its beat. The city is a permanent stage. Everything in it is spectacle. The sunset from Arpoador, sunrise atop Pedra Bonita, the view from Sugarloaf Mountain, the silent embrace of Christ the Redeemer atop Corcovado. But beyond beauty, Rio has soul. It has people. And those people are the true landscape of the city. People who rise early, who struggle, who endure, who dance despite the pain, who smile beneath the weight of heat, hardship, and scarcity. The favela, so present in Rio's geography, is not a place of invisibility, but of power. There, people sing, paint, create. There, movements, ideas, and expressions are born. The high city may watch, but the low city pulses with creativity. Vesuvius. In southern Italy, beneath the sunlit Bay of Naples, rises a mountain that appears to sleep, silent, almost serene. But within it pulses a heart of fire. Mount Vesuvius, one of the most legendary, feared, and studied volcanoes on the planet. A sleeping giant whose fury has shaped histories, cities, and destinies. Over the centuries, the name Vesuvius has become synonymous with both destruction and awe. A natural force that draws the fine line between creation and ruin, a symbol of relentless power, and at the same time, a vivid reminder of human fragility in the face of nature. The story of Vesuvius dates back millions of years, when the tectonic plates of Africa and Eurasia began their ceaseless dance beneath the Earth's crust. The subduction of one plate beneath the other formed a chain of active volcanoes across southern Europe. Vesuvius was born from that deep and violent collision, part of the Campanian volcanic arc. Its geology is complex. It is a stratovolcano formed by alternating layers of solidified lava, volcanic ash, and pumice stone. Its present-day cone rests within an older caldera, the remnant of a colossal ancient eruption. This double structure gives Vesuvius its distinct appearance, a jagged crater, as if the Earth itself had been torn from within. But what made Vesuvius a legend was not just its geological origin. It was one specific day, a moment crystallized in humanity's collective memory, August 24th in the year 79 after Christ, when it erupted with such absurd violence that two entire cities were wiped off the map. Pompeii, and Herculaneum. On that fateful day, the sky darkened at noon, the ground trembled, the hills vibrated with a deafening roar. Witnesses said it felt like the end of the world. A cloud of ash rose tens of miles into the air, casting a choking darkness across the region. Pompeii was hit by a rain of ash and pumice stones. Within hours, the city was buried. Thousands of people suffocated, caught in their final moments. Their bodies, preserved for centuries, now tell a silent story, one carved in the pain of surprise and fear. Mount Everest. It rises beyond the clouds, beyond the myths, beyond the limits of the human body, a colossus of ice and rock that touches the sky. Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, a geographic, spiritual, and symbolic entity that for centuries has challenged the mind, the body, and the soul of those who dare to face it. At 29,031.7 feet above sea level, Everest is not just the top of the world. It is the boundary between the possible and the impossible, a mountain that seems not made to be conquered, but admired, feared, respected. A place where the air is thin and human, life hangs by a thread between ambition and death. Its western name was given in honor of British surveyor Sir George Everest back in the 19th century. But long before Europeans even knew of its existence, it was already sacred. To the Nepalese, it is Sagarmatha, the forehead of the sky. To Tibetans, Chomolungma, the mother goddess of the world. And there is indeed something divine about it. Something that surpasses reason. The cutting winds, the snowstorms, the treacherous slopes, everything about Everest seems to guard a secret, as if the mountain does not want to be touched. As if it says only the worthy shall reach here, and not all shall return. The geological story of Everest began around 50 million years ago, when the Indian tectonic plate collided with the Eurasian plate. That violent clash slowly pushed up the Himalayas, and with them, Everest. What once was the bed of an ancient ocean is now the backbone of Asia. That is why, even today, at the summit of Everest, you can find marine fossils embedded in the rocks. Proof that this place, which now touches the sky, was once submerged in the ocean's depths. A reminder that Earth is always moving, and nothing, not even the tallest mountains, is eternal. But it wasn't until 1953 that the impossible became possible. On May 29th of that year, New Zealander Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing Norgay reached the summit of Everest for the first time. The news spread around the world. Man had touched the sky, and the mountain, until then unconquered, had its first victors. But victory came at a cost. They faced temperatures below -40 degrees Celsius, which is also -40 degrees Fahrenheit, howling winds, unpredictable avalanches, and the thin air of the so-called death zone, above 26,246 feet, where the human body slowly begins to die from lack of oxygen. Every step was an act of endurance. Every breath, a battle. Tunnel of Love, Klaven. In the lush green heart of Ukraine, in a quiet village called Klaven, there is a place where nature seems to have bowed to the whims of love. a living tunnel shaped by trees that intertwine like lovers' arms, forming a leafy corridor stretching for miles. It is known worldwide as the Tunnel of Love. With each season, the tunnel transforms. In spring, it wears a vibrant green where sunlight dances through fresh leaves. In fall, it is painted in golden and crimson hues, like a moving impressionist painting. In winter, blanketed by snow, it becomes a gateway to another world. And in summer it breathes, with the warmth and light that only those in love truly understand. But behind this hypnotic beauty, there's a story. The tunnel didn't arise from romantic planning, but industrial need. A private railroad line built during the Soviet era served a nearby lumber factory. The tracks needed protection from the weather, and the vegetation was allowed to grow freely around them, shaped only by the train's regular passage. Over time, the locomotive itself sculpted the forest. With each journey, the trees bent and adjusted, as if honoring the rhythm of the rails. The result was a natural corridor of near-geometric perfection, accidental in origin, organic in form, shaped by repetition and chance, not human hands. The railway line still operates, but only occasionally now. When the train does not pass, silence reigns, and the tunnel becomes a sanctuary. Couples walk hand in hand, photographers try to capture its soul, dreamers lose themselves in its soft curves. It is no longer just a track, it has become a symbol,